Men don't live to 6, 7, 8, 900 years today like they did back in the pre-flood days, because our God-given filtration system that surrounded this globe, it fell through due to man's sin. They've invented something called the hyperbolic chamber. Have you ever heard of the hyperbolic chamber? Have you ever had a loved one? Have you ever had a loved one go to and have treatments in a hyperbolic chamber? Doctors use hyperbolic chambers today to speed healing. What a coincidence. They reproduce the pre-flood days and it helps to speed healing. The other thing I wanted to share with you about the hyperbolic chamber, the pre-flood environment, was another thing that these mad scientists were experimenting with, of all things, were copperhead snakes. They're putting copperhead snakes in the hyperbolic chamber environment, and lo and behold, these copperhead snakes grow to a larger size than normal copperhead snakes, and they live longer. They don't quite live twice or 3 times as long as their normal lifespan, but they do live longer than the normal copperhead snake out here in the post-flood environment. Now, of all things that they want to experiment with, if you were experimenting with something that you wanted to grow bigger and live longer, wouldn't you put like a bunny rabbit in there, or a kitten, or a panda bear, or a koala bear, or something? If you want to put a lizard in there, okay, get a gecko. If you want to experiment with an amphibian, stick a gecko in there. You put a gecko in there, maybe he could save you money on your situation in twice as fast. Instead of 15 minutes, he could save you money in 7.5 minutes. Leave him in there long enough, and maybe it wouldn't just be 7.5, maybe it'd be 5 minutes. Call up the gecko and he could save you money in 5 minutes, right? Right, but no, these guys, they don't want to experiment with a panda bear or a gecko. They want to experiment with copperhead snakes. Now, in hindsight, since I watched their television program some 20 years ago and reconfirmed it on the internet just recently, they had a reason why they wanted to put these copperhead snakes in the pre-flood environment. They put those copperhead snakes in that pre-flood environment, in that hyperbolic chamber environment, and then they extracted venom from these snakes, and they looked at that venom. Now, I'm not a scientist, I'm a theologian, I study the Bible, so I don't know this, I don't know enough about this to speak down intelligently upon it. But the little bit that I do know about snake venom is I believe it gets into the bloodstream of its victim, and it coagulates the bloodstream, and it messes up the bloodstream of man, and that messes up the bloodstream, and then that affects the heart, and it ends up killing the victim. Now, what these scientists have done in the hyperbolic chamber is they looked at the venom, regular copperhead venom, and it's a poison. They look at it under a microscope, and it's a tangled, the molecular structure is all tangled up, and that's what happens in the bloodstream of its victim. It tangles up the blood, and then that causes the heart to stop. Well, these copperhead snakes that they put in the pre-flood environment, they extract venom from those hyperbolic chamber copperheads. They look at it under the microscope, and the microscopic structure isn't tangled like it was before, but it begins to become more structured. You can get on the internet and look at this for yourself. They've got pictures on there of the venom, the molecular structure of the venom becoming more structured. It moves. This is what is happening to these copperhead snakes. It moves from being less a toxin, and it's beginning to become more like a super medicine. It's not a toxin, but it's becoming more like a super medicine.